Hello everyone, welcome to this video. Today I want to proudly present this project to you. I've put about 500 hours into it. It's a hard project, it's something that I just did for myself, and luckily there was also Golden Demon, so I entered it also into Golden Demon. It's very important to me not to just paint for the painting, but also show it to people, to give inspiration, to spark an idea in your head. So yeah, today will be all about showing you this Golden Demon entry I did, the tank workshop.
Spirits demand our respect. Announcement. Brothers of the Forge, we do not just repair this Sicaran Venator, we prepare it to crush our foes. Horus thinks he can break us, but the White Scars kneel to no one. Work with precision, honor the machine spirits, and obey the overseers. This tank will bear our fury into battle for the Khan, the Emperor, and the Imperium.
Alright, so much to the atmosphere, coming to the actual building part. So it was built from many parts from the Kill Team Octarius kit, and a friend of mine gave me some of the Imperial terrain, so it's a mixture of both, but since it's in a 30k setting, I needed to get rid of all the double-sided eagles, all the 40k signs and logos, and kind of kit bash the Orc terrain for this kind of rough look together with the Imperial terrain. And at the same time I needed to keep it modular, so to take the parts apart again for the painting process. So it was like a puzzle, and I needed to kind of construct it in a way that I can take it apart, paint and put back together. So at some point I was quite happy with how all the parts and pieces came together. Some more tiny details like the workers came afterwards. It was just like one of those projects where I kept coming up with cool ideas and I didn't want to skip them, and it got bigger and bigger and more time intensive, but super happy how it turned out. So no regrets there. I was having a lot of fun building it. It's probably my favorite part of the entire project, especially now. When we come to the painting, I was very shocked about the amount of time that the terrain was actually taking. I started with a tank and it was fairly quickly done compared to the rest, just because there's a lot less surface, and I keep saying the more surface, the longer it takes, and the terrain was just hideous. At some point I was adding scratches and working with a small scale brush, adding details, and these kind of things just are very time consuming. But nevertheless, I kept through. I had a nice routine of where I woke up in the morning, worked for a couple of hours on the project, and then got back to it on the evenings again. So I had a really good routine, but at some point I realized I needed to keep going on a regular basis of a couple of hours every day in order to get finished. It took me about half a year. I started half a year before Golden Demon. You're seeing right now a lot of the oils process, so I love weathering with oils, and this was the fun part since it was all done at that point and the terrain is like just needed some weathering. So it's nice to do the touch-ups, but the actual painting of the non-metallic parts was very time consuming and at some point not very enjoyable, not gonna lie, but at some point all of the projects are work and you need to keep going. Then there was also this step of the OSL, so we had a lot of lamps on this project and I started airbrushing the OSL effect over the entire project, and then I kind of had a red, a yellow and a green OSL, and then the OSL from the tank itself. So I was doing a lot of back and forth where I was re-correcting the colors, the hues. I didn't want them to be too bright and too colorful. It was a good match to the very dirty terrain, but at some point when I was zooming out, the bigger picture was kind of weird. Same for the miniatures, like this guy welding on the tank. It was also another source of OSL. So for the sake of the bigger picture, I did dampen the lamps and kind of turn down the lights a lot in order to keep the tank in the middle as the center of attention. Yeah, once all of that was done, I was very, very happy rearranging the miniatures too. So all the conversions I did and everything I painted individually would be placed and glued in place. Funny thing is, everything you're seeing right now and where I have placed the workers, I did change that after all, so you can see it later on in the final result that I did rearrange some of the workers. I didn't like where they were standing, and then I got all the individual pieces, put some super glue onto it and put everything together in its final form. And I realized there were a lot of gaps in between, so I needed to fill gaps and repaint certain areas. But hey, at that point I was very, very happy to finally put things together and have like a certain state. It's not super comfortable to work on a piece that's already assembled fully, but here's an epic take from my girlfriend. I asked her to take a short video. That's her amazing camera work, shout out. So yeah, I did fill up all the gaps with this dry ground, so some like texture paint, and repainted those areas. And then once that was done, everything was in place, everything was glued, all the transitions were done, and it was basically all finished. But this project was very inviting for more details, so at some point I had the idea, hey, why not add cables? So I was starting to kind of chip apart old small scale cables and glued them on top of the diorama. It kind of fitted to the Orc terrain from the Kill Team Octarius box, and I felt super smart painting them with my fingers and just like pulling them through my fingers. But at the end of the day, I needed to repaint all of that for details and highlight structures within brush anyway, but it was worth a try. And then I also designed some posters. I had some funny puns with "thank you very much" and some Emperor fair wage kind of posters I designed. And since I'm a graphic designer, I could not resist this. So I added posters to the workshop and weathered them down with some oil to make it more realistic. I've also made a tutorial on this and uploaded the posters for free on my Patreon. And now, taking off the tape, the most satisfying part of a project, because it's symbolizing you are really done. It's completely finished. So I'm not touching it anymore, and it's time to take it to Golden Demon. It was like a little road trip with a friend of mine, Martin, so he joined me and we had a great weekend over there. Took the models there. It was causing a lot of anxiety for people. This is the entrance, and then we finally had our models in the cabins and the chance to look at amazing artists, incredible artwork. I was stunned, and just talking to all the people, meeting the community, was just that alone was worth the trip. And then was time for the award ceremony, and I was blown away that I was actually called on stage being like on the top 6 for the diorama category. I actually got a commended pin for it, or a commended entry for it, which makes me very proud. So I didn't win a trophy, but it's a lot more than I was hoping or expecting for, especially having a look at the other artworks that were entered. I mean, look at this. I've marked all the artists. You can pause the video, go follow them. This one blew my mind. I think it was 2,000 hours of work, and this one with a lovely light atmosphere, just wonderful. So the video could end here, but I've also decided to include some corrections I did after Golden Demon. I got a lot of feedback and asked other artists what they think and what they would correct. The main feedback was that there was too many different light sources and too much tension kind of drawing away from the tank. So I've increased the contrast on the tank, and I kind of stick to one OSL color on the entire piece, and also made more reflections on the piece itself. I did a full post on my Patreon on all the details and all exact thoughts I had on why I would change something. So if you're interested in that, feel free to check it out. But for this video, I will leave it like it is, and I hope you enjoyed the tank workshop.